I mean,
Uh, but I thought it was like terribly formulaic. Like
mhm.
lost soul goes into it, rescued by a tribe. They treat him poorly, and then he proves himself by killing a monster. And now he's one of them. It was like, I like
Well,
as
yeah,
predictable as formulaic as the Mandalorian was. It was just that as the A Team was, as Kung Fu was. For some reason, it just felt stale in that regard.
well, I guess the idea, and we can talk about this a bit more in a second, but I guess the
Yeah.
idea there is that he was effectively a slave,
Mm.
and if you're a slave in the middle of the desert, but they're feeding you, and it's like maybe it's because we see the one I forget what they call the Greedo people, but it's a pink Greedo, that they have, that idea that no, I'm gonna stick. Yeah, what are they called? You said rodents. Yeah, Tristan called them Rhodians, but just the
Oh, the
idea
guy
that,
with the snout nose.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like a Greedo, but he's pink.
Right,
But
right, right,
I don't
right,
know if that's
right.
because he's out in the sun all day.
Oh, oh, wow. Yeah, it must have some effect on him too, because they clearly show a drastic effect on Boba Fett's face from the
Exactly.
skin from the
Uh,
sun.
It's a Rhodian. Yeah, those are Rhodians. So yeah. So who? No, it wouldn't be Greedo because could be Greedo's kid though, man. But that's the problem with it. You got the Sands people, and
The
and that's
Jawas.
yeah. Well, you got all of them, man. So we'll talk about that in a second. So let's get it started, my friend. Excuse me. Avast, me hearties, and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead. I be your captain, Charlie, the Professor Esser. And with me, as always, is me first mate and skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Hey, Maz. In a world of capes and lunatics, gods and monsters, in a galaxy far, far away, there are those who must do what they must to ensure the protection of what they love. There are Mandalorians, and this is the book of Boba Fett. Tonight's episode, Stranger in a Strange Land. Boba Fett holds court. Our director is the great Robert Rodriguez. Writers on this, we got Jean Favreau. George Lucas is getting that created by, or that based on Star Wars by credit. Noah Clore is our hardest working man in show business tonight, our staff writer. See if anyone else gets a credit in this. George Lucas, Noah Clore, just John Favreau and John Favreau. He gets that created by and that written by, along with that George. Well, man, George Lucas is only getting a based on by now. You can see the difference between film and comic books, because in the comic books, they tell you they tell you who actually created the character. It's like, because arguably, Boba Fett there, but I guess that's the idea, is that there's like a dozen people who created Boba Fett aside from George Lucas, and they are the writers of Empire. Obviously, they are the They are the artists who worked on the holiday special. They are the artists who had created the character even before then, and did the drawings. And there's a lot of people who contributed to the Boba Fett legend before we get here. But here we are in the book of Boba Fett, and it's actually been a week since I watched this. I did not get a chance to watch it again before we were recording it, but Tristan says it starts off in it's called the Bacta chamber, which is the healing chamber.
Right.
Yeah, which makes me wonder, like, what is he healing from? I guess just everything, he's healing from.
Right. It seems like he needs to make I mean, they made it seem like after his encounter with the ambush party, he was pretty significantly injured.
Yeah.
And it seems like a routine occurrence to him. So he probably has to go back there like every day.
Yeah. He probably is always in the back to chamber. You know,
Yeah.
just putting everything back together again, you know?
It could be because since he was in the Sarlacc pit, we don't know how long he was in for, but since he wasn't dead, it could have been a few hours or maybe a day. So probably part of him was being slowly digested.
So you're thinking he still has long-lasting weaknesses from his time in the Sarlacc.
That could also explain why he passed out.
Yeah, and that is true. Well, he did, yeah, because he does pass out when because we do get in this the harrowing escape from the Sarlacc, and he killed that Sarlacc, man. That Sarlacc,
yeah,
that is a dead Sarlacc.
You see it laying like lifeless behind him.
Because he's not crawling out through the mouth; he's crawling out through the side. He's just like, nope, give me a hole.
Yep.
I don't care if this Sarlacc has lived here 1,000 years; it's dead now. I will burn this Sarlacc to the ground.
It's the last bit of heartburn it will ever have.
Yeah, well, don't eat a Mandalorian. I'm sorry, what, Tristan?
Version that I just remembered, and in it, he actually does escape by killing the Sarlacc.
Yeah.
But instead of it being a stormtrooper, he actually finds a Rodian.
Oh.
That he has to fight for some reason because apparently it still has its blaster and actually shot him.
So the Rodian inside the Sarlacc fights him?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's just a weird idea. Why are you two people fighting inside a Sarlacc?
I mean,
there was also a droid in there.
A droid? Well,
you find yourself in a Sarlacc stomach, and you see a mortal enemy. I mean,
you work together. Didn't you ever see Enemy Mine? Come on. That's like classic sci-fi rules.
I agree.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend when there's a giant monster.
Right.
Premise of King Kong that we never got to see, Kong of Skull Island, and like the best movie ever made was like 2 scenes in it. It's so annoying. I want to see those guys' life in that adventure on Skull Island. You know, the American and the Japanese soldiers, they go through that. You know, but anyway, that's a whole other set of films. Also with Samuel L. Jackson, although Samuel L. Jackson is not in this, but he is in Star Wars. So. Getting back to this thing,
he is the one that chops off Django's head, right? In that scene where he walks up his helmet.
Yeah.
So,
and we do get our references in that there too, you know. And actually, people have pointed out that his head is not in that helmet. That if you actually watch it, that in the actual thing, the head gets chopped off. The head does fly out.
There's a shadow of the head flying out, separate from the shadow of the helmet flying through the air.
And you do see that, you do. But so that is just him picking up the helmet.
Yeah.
Although, again, I guess it's weird no matter how you slice it. Like, I don't know, do you pick up the head? Do you pick up the helmet? What do you do with your father's remains? It's...
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's canon, but it was in a comic where apparently his tribe of Mandalorians did kind of have the green and red that Boba had, but once his armor was stolen, that person polished it up and gave it the silver and blue, and he just kept it like that.
Okay.
What did Toxin Gamer 13 say?
So apparently, I guess this is like whether or not why Boba is sometimes depicted with silver and blue armor and sometimes with red and green armor. Apparently the original group of Mandalorians who adopted Boba as a foundling, Django, sorry. Django. So Django had his armor stolen?
Yeah, in the comics.
Oh, okay. I guess in the comics, Django had his armor stolen. Someone painted over the red and green and made it the silver and blue. But then it's interesting that maybe Boba goes back to the red and green, sort of that tradition of the Mandalorians, even though he is not a Mandalorian. So it's layers upon layers upon layers. And, in comic books, they always try to explain things in certain ways that don't always make sense. But that's okay, because that's what comic books are for. So we have these two parallel stories. One is flashing back on Django's life in the Sarlacc pit, in what was the cloning place, and Interesting thing. This is actually something I found very interesting. Is the actor who played young Boba Fett actually plays young Boba Fett in the Clone Wars series,
Ah,
in the same way that the guy who plays old Boba Fett plays Boba Fett in the Clone Wars series as well. So, or who played Jango Fett plays Boba Fett. So, I love how they're reusing all of the actors in that nice way and
yeah.
really giving themselves a legacy to build out from. But I did feel this episode is a little short.
A little short, a little straightforward. I mean, they did give us a little bit of fan service about how Boba escaped from the Sarlacc, but
Yeah.
I thought it was really straightforward. There was very little. Well, I mean, I guess you can't have too much nuance with characters that don't really speak. I'm talking
Yeah.
about the Jawas and Boba Fett, but it just seemed like that formulaic process. A stranger comes into a strange land, is disrespected by the tribe or not treated well by them until he saves them by killing a monster that's been bothering them. It's like every D&D adventure you've ever gone on.
Yeah, well, I hear what you're saying on that, and I don't disagree with it, but I do feel like there's interesting levels to this, especially with the Jawas, who, it's an interesting question about the Jawas and their scavenger culture. And this is one of these things I always come back to when you look at cultures like the Ferengi, or even like the Klingons, or like the Vulcans, where they have these weird obsessions about certain things. And I get the feeling that there's this idea of the Jawas of being scavengers, and this idea that if something is there, you have to take it because otherwise it is wasted material and we can use that material later. And I think you get this opposite take on the Tuskens, whereas the Tuskens are maybe more like the Fremen in Dune, where it's not about those materials that we're taking, it's about this human life. And, we're going to make sure it's alive because we need more people. And even though we're going to be keeping him in this spot until he can understand our ways and what we need him for, like I said, it's a very weird way that the relationship interacts.
My thought was that they were keeping him for some utilitarian purpose that was a bit more nefarious, maybe like bait for the 6-armed creature. If we need to go out and get this, we can like shake the sand and draw the 6-armed creature out. It'll be occupied with eating this guy, and we can go collect whatever resource that we need to from the mountain or whatever.
Yeah, I'm more inclined to think he's just a basic slave. He's just a slave class character. He is meant there to be, and hey, to be fair, Conan's been a slave too. It usually ends poorly for those who enslave him. But in this case, it worked out well for Jango, especially because
Boba,
because he is playing a bit more of a long game, I suppose. Because, that's the thing. It's like when he says to the Rodian, when the Rodian balks at trying to make a run across the desert, because it is a desert full of sarlaccs and sand dune dragons, and whatever the heck this 6-armed Harryhausen beast is, which, by the way, I love that beast because it did look like something Harryhausen would design. I mean, it looked like a Harryhausen design. I mean, it moves beautifully, but also it's like you could almost see it. You could imagine that creature being in something that Ray Harryhausen designed. And I love anytime they bring back that aesthetic in these works. It really feeds to it. But I absolutely feel like it was intended to be an issue with him building his status up in this society. Like he knows, and it's sort of like Gladiator. He knows he's been taken as a slave, and he knows there's not much he can do on this except to find his way through.
I mean, he did try to escape. It's not like
No, he did try to escape when he could, but that failed, and he had to make his other plans, and then he made other plans. He improvised. That's the thing.
Right.
It's like, he was able to realize, okay, this is the dynamic. I'm basically here's the chief's son, who is, who is like on his way to become a man, and he's got to sort of show that he can handle these two slaves.
Right.
And, and again, he knows he's, even though Django, I'm sure, thinks he could survive if he could just get out of here.
But he has the possibility here of some semblance of a homestead, right? He can have a community, and then he can figure out sort of where he wants to go or what he wants to do. But right now he has the possibility of ingratiating himself with a group of people that seem to have some power over the landscape in which he finds himself.
And to be fair, if you really think about it, this takes place not that long after Return of the Jedi. Like, as you break it down, because, of course, The Mandalorian pretty much takes place, a few years after Return of the Jedi, after the fall of the Empire, after the building of the New Republic. So this is all still in this gray area. So how long he's in the desert with the Sand People, building himself, and for what it's worth, learning their ways and raising in rank to where he's got the spiky stick now too. Which I've heard people point out that when he starts, he's got the kid stick, but we know by the end of it he's gonna have the boss stick.
Right. I guess that was early in his career. I didn't like seeing him get beat up by that Tusken with the stick so easily. I equally didn't like how easily he was almost bested by like 5 guys with shields. Like, he's never encountered shields before. Like the Boba Fett that we encountered in The Mandalorian would never get bested by himself. Those 5 of them would all be dead before they knew what happened. And here he just seems so ineffectual and just so like.
And to be fair, he's just gone through a lot of fights. And I think that.
Yeah, but The Mandalorian happens after this, right? Or before?
No.
The Mandalorian happens before this. Right. This is after The Mandalorian. So he was a Rio BA and now he's just like this old man.
Well, I think that is why we're seeing him sleeping in the back tank.
I mean, there must be more. I was very surprised in the end credits when it said it was written by Jon Favreau. I was like, man, I expected something more nuanced and more clever from Favreau, but maybe it is, and it's going to open up and expose.
Yeah, and I also think that there's a part of this which is that Boba doesn't want to be. Boba is trying to take over this. I mean, the idea is that this is Boba trying to rise in the criminal empire of Tatooine. He's trying to take Jabba's place, which is already, that basically after Jabba's death.
Right. But does is the implication that he was holding back?
Well, that he's trying to assess who's attacking him, because we can even see when he is telling Fenn, "You can't kill them all. We need to save one." Because it's like Boba's trying to plot this out. Fennec's just like, these people attacked you, we kill them. But at the same time, Fennec is like, we need to throw the 2, and I forget what they called, obviously the orc soldiers.
The 2 bebops.
Yeah, 2 bebops, yes. They should be thrown to the menagerie, but Boba is like, no, you were loyal to your former boss. Will you be loyal to me?
I can
use that. If you'll give me that loyalty. Yeah, I can use that. And he spares them. And sure enough, because that was actually one of the things I said to Tristan is they're walking out of the casino and you see the 2 orcs aren't with him. And it's like, they know something. They're circling around because they're going to come in from behind and, because they're watching, they're protecting their guy, and Boba's not, he's a little off it, man.
Yeah.
He's gone through a lot. In this very short period of time, and now he's got to sort of figure it out. And I found it interesting that the mayor is like, no, you give tribute to me. That
was great. And his emissary, man, what a great actor that guy was. Oh man, he played it with all the subtle innuendo of, oh, you're going to die, but with like the nicest political face on it. It was beautiful. Beautiful. I love that guy.
Or to me, more to his point is you will die if you try to push this.
Yeah.
Because understand, I'm the mayor. I represent the mayor. The mayor is online with the New Republic and was probably online with the Empire too.
Mm.
So the mayor has probably been threading this needle since the days of Jabba.
Right.
And
He's been
really,
waiting for, he's like, let me see if I can assert some control. Now that he's gone, it's a whole new
Yeah.
world. I
Well,
can
probably
reshape it.
the mayor asserted his control after Bib. That basically once Bib took over, no one's going to respect Bib the way they did Jabba.
Oh, I see.
So the mayor has been built. So the mayor has basically built his little machine. You know, his little political machine.
I want to see who they're going to get to play the mayor, because it should be interesting.
Well, actually, I think the mayor is the hammerhead alien that we saw.
Oh,
I think that's just my guess. I haven't like
Interesting.
looked into it yet, but for some reason, I get the feeling like the hammerhead mayor. The hammerhead alien. That's the mayor.
I kind of dug that they kept that from us for a little bit. Like they're building that, like, who's this going to be?
Yeah. Well, exactly. You know, and I really like. I mean, it's really neat how they built this up. I think that for a short, and it kind of felt, in its own way, it kind of felt like the same thing I felt with Hawkeye, which I kind of felt like chopping it up in this way in the 30-minute segments. I mean, it definitely leaves you wanting more, but I feel like it's like too short for what you need it to be.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I would have liked it if it had been a little bit more, a little stronger, a little more together, and maybe give me that hour episode here. Because that's the thing with streaming is I can stop at any time.
Right.
You know, but I guess maybe they also figure, you know, a lot of people maybe are going to look at an hour episode and say, well, I don't have time to watch an hour episode. But if I do, because that's the thing, it's like if I had started watching today, I'd watch 2 episodes.
Yeah.
You know, and then I watch those 2 episodes for that hour and like, oh, that was great. But if I need to stop at 1, I can stop at 1, you know?
Yeah.
And that's sort of the advantage of that binging model is like, you know, once it's there, you can watch however many or however few as you want. At least that's one theory. Yeah, I mean, like I said, yeah.
What else did we get in this? Was there any other pivotal plot point that we're missing?
I mean, I don't really think so. I mean, really, I mean, we get a Wookiee pelt, so that's disturbing. But you know, this is this world, man. They eat sentient creatures all the time.
So Mando still exists in this world, right? And
Mando's still out there. Mando just dropped off Grogu at this point because I don't think Boba went with them to fight in the last one. Did he, or did he? I can't remember. I can't remember how the last battle where we got Luke Skywalker into it at the end.
Oh no, yeah, I think he was there.
He was there. Okay, so then
so.
he went. Yeah, because then at the end he goes back to Tatooine with Fennec.
Right.
And that's when we get our teaser for Book.
Yeah.
When he kills Bib Fortuna. And you know, and again, like I said, I get the feeling like the underworld in Tatooine has kind of gone to pot after Jabba's death, because we even see when they do fight the 6-armed monster, there's some completely other random gang just muscling in on Jabba's turf now that Jabba's gone.
No, but that was way in the past. Oh yeah, I guess it was still Jabba's.
No, that wasn't. That was just after Jabba dies. That's the idea. You know, that basically Jabba's dead. It's chaos now. You know, like I said, that's why I say like it's not been that many years.
Right. So we're probably going to see a more advanced version of that gang be a lot stronger and have a lot more membership by the time we meet them in the present.
Maybe that's who he was fighting at the end. Maybe that's who the mayor's got as his people, because I'm certain that was the mayor's people. And that's why he said we need to save one, because I need to know who did this. Who's stepping to Boba. So I know how I need to address this. Because I get the feeling it's going to be, you know, you're going to get a nice meeting of the 5 families under Boba. You know, and for what it's worth, Boba, he doesn't have a lot going for him aside from being a real BA. And, you know, like you said, maybe people are a little unsure how much of a BA he is right now.
Which would have been the moment to like lay the smackdown when he was challenged in a public setting. Let everybody know, you know?
Or it's the moment to let people know I don't want to fight.
Ugh.
Yeah, of course you say that, but I'm just gonna say, let them fight. Let them fight.
I mean, but like, this is the underworld we're talking about. They don't respect hugs and and greetings.
Well, but Boba wants a different kind of underworld,
All
and they
right.
say it in the theater. He wants a world built on respect. That I don't, and that's the idea. And this is the Charlemagne model. Charlemagne, and this is also what Attila the Hun did.
Mm.
It was you be a king in the saddle. You don't take a lot of loot for yourself. You make sure everyone gets a taste.
Right, but the only way you can enforce that is by letting everybody know, hey, don't mess with me.
Well, not necessarily. You just get enough people who say, I'd rather have a taste than have to fight. And if you get enough people that just say, no, you're not going to stand up to Boba Fett because
that's the thing. You're not going to stand up to Boba Fett. That's what you've got to build. That's at the heart of how you control these situations.
I know. And there's, so it's, there's different ways you get control of people.
Right. But we're talking about like a democracy where everybody shares resources versus human nature, which is gimme, gimme, gimme.
No. It's about an oligarchy, which is we can all have more if we don't fight so much.
Right.
But
that's a falsity. I mean, like for people that are trying to gain control, there's never enough to go around, right? And if everybody's getting an equal piece, that means I'm not getting my equal piece. I think that emotion is such an ingrained part of humanity that it's a hard thing to fight without a measure of a hard hand,
I guess the argument is that, and like I said, historically, the guy who shares with his people buys loyalty.
Right, but he's also the guy that gets stabbed in the back.
No, not necessarily. Attila the Hun didn't get stabbed in the back. Charlemagne didn't get stabbed in the back. They rode out. They did what they had to do. They maintained their empires. Even Alexander the Great didn't get stabbed in the back.
Yeah, but again, what was he known for? What was he known for? He was known for military campaigns and conquering. He was known for strength. He was known,
Actually, no. He was known for building an empire that lasts expressly because he would take local people and put them in charge. And he would work with them and say, I don't need a lot. I just need you to be there. I need you to have my back the next time I conquer someone else. And you get to be in charge, and we're going to defend you. We're going to have a mutual defense treaty. And, I get to go out and conquer everyone. And that's the thing. It's like
that, or the other perspective to look at it is like, hey, I'm going to conscript your men and a fighting age whenever I need. Or you all die right now. Okay. All right. Keep living. Whatever.
I mean, when
I come to take all your men of fighting age,
you can't do that unless you already have an army capable of doing that. And every time
that's my point. That's
but the thing is every time you make that choice to fight, you weaken your own stance. Because it's sort of like, so it's like with wolves.
Right. But he's starting at zero with just Fennec and the two bebops. He's slowly collecting his army.
And what I'm going to tell you is they're pretty capable, just the four of them.
True.
And that's sort of where they're at. It's like, again, like I said, he's holding back expressly because he doesn't just want to kill all these guys because someone's attacking him for a reason.
Yeah, I just
he doesn't just want to know. He doesn't just want them dead.
The fact that he had to go running and crawling back into the Bacta pit to heal himself shows me that it wasn't some grand plan, that he was just bested. And I don't like the way that makes me feel.
Well, like I said, I get the feeling he's always in the Bacta. And he's going to tell you, it makes sense if you're a guy who fights for a living every night to sleep in the Bacta. Like I'm sure there's a Bacta thing on Slave One, that you just, that this is your life and your muscles are always getting beat up and weakened. And the only way you maintain that level is you go in every night.
It just seems like a strange thing to me. It seems like an easy choice to make, a lazy choice to make, to say, oh, okay, we're just going to make them look weak so that we have a place to start from so the show can build to something.
I mean, I guess so.
But you're inheriting the history of the last show we just saw, which is supposedly just, a couple of weeks before the happenings of this show, and all of a sudden he's a different character. It seems a little. I hope they give us a good reason. I hope they give me a good reason.
You may get some in the next episode. We may find out that some of those drinks he was given at the place where they gave him all the money had a little something in them.
Then it would make sense to me. Then I would be like, okay.
Yeah, but we'll see exactly what happens. And but like I said, I mean, hey, I love everything, so I'm a really easy guy. I felt it was beautifully directed. I think that the sets look beautiful. I think that the acting is fantastic. The story, like I said, I thought it was rushed. I thought we didn't get enough of what we needed. I think we could have done more of an establishing. Honestly, I actually think we got to the fight because people felt we need more fights.
Right.
That people are coming to this for the fights, not coming to this for the prolonged parliamentary negotiations.
I guess
they want to see someone get punched. They want someone to get shot with a laser beam. That's where we're at with this. And the fact of the matter is that they needed to get these fights in there, and the only way to get the fights in there is you can go back in time and show Boba getting beaten up by sand people because he just crawled out of a sarlacc with no back to tank. Or you can have him have to deal with this, deal with an ambush, and with only and for what it's worth, it's him and Fennec against 6 guys, with shields that he does not have, and and they're not hurting him, but the fact of the matter is he has to find his entryway to attack them. He's not a heavy machine gunner. This isn't Jon Favreau's Mandalorian with the heavy machine gun. He's a much more subtle bounty hunter. He's more used to more quick fights in a more open area, and they've got him closed in.
I guess.
I mean, there's all these kind of ways you can look at it where, it's a different kind of fighting when you have more space. Yeah,
it just seems like if in the public square, I'm a bad guy. I see the guy trying to assert control get beat up by 5 foot soldiers. I'm like, get out of here. I don't have to pay this guy.
But he doesn't get
He's
beat up.
He's going to protect me. He's going to protect my business.
But he doesn't get beat up. They all
get beat up.
He goes after them, and
he gets beat up until he gets saved and the tide gets turned. And they're just foot soldiers. They're just goons. They have wives and kids. They're like, I'm out of here. I did my job.
That's the question. Is he getting beat up, or is he doing a rope-a-dope? He's assessing what they got. Because right now, if they're coming at him with shields,
the idea of a rope-a-dope is you pretend to be hurt. You don't actually get hurt.
Well, except you can't. Well, see, that's the thing. You can't actually pretend to get hurt. It's like every time you get punched, even if you're rolling with the punch, that hits. That's still a heart. That still hurts. You may be able to take it. You may be able to roll with the punch, but it looks like you're getting beat up. But at the same time, it's about getting past it and getting to the next thing.
I guess.
And I do think that, like I said, I'm going to give him the benefit of a doubt that there's a strategy to this. And that he's not just completely out of his element. But maybe he is, because Fennec Shand definitely thinks he's out of his element.
Right.
Because Fennec Shand is, no, you kill them. You just kill them.
Yeah. And he needs that. By God, he needs that.
And to be fair, maybe that's the dichotomy that they're working with. Good cop, bad cop, running hot and cold, and figuring out what's the real best way to approach this. Any final thoughts on tonight's episode, Mozzie?
I think what I'm looking forward to, what I foresee is that he's gonna collect like a ragtag group of supporters and quote unquote family, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Like what characters are gonna join his band of travelers.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think definitely we're gonna get a lot more characters.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna get a lot more to everyone. I'm actually hoping that we're gonna get like some kind of story with the orcs, that we're actually going to get some of what those people's culture is. I want to see him like go back and call in some chits from the sand people, maybe even pull in some stuff from the Jawas, just see some stuff where there's like there's this real understanding of the interactions between everybody. I mean, I hope we at some point meet the sheriff again from that one town that had
Was
Boba's
it
armor.
Cobb Vance Refrigeration?
Yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see some just callbacks and what we get. It would be awesome.
Yeah, and I can see the story being explored, like similar again to Dune, about how the new people that have taken over the desert have been mistreating the desert people, not treating them like the civilized people that live in their cities, and that will be the desert power that Boba needs to overtake the evil, conquerors.
Yeah, I mean,
The mayor.
I can absolutely see that as a reality. All right now. So for those who don't know, this is broadcast to hot on the Capes and Lunatics network, and we here at Capes and Lunatics, we love you guys. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love it if you emailed us at capesandlunatics@gmail.com. That's capesandlunatics@gmail.com, and call us and leave us a voicemail, and we will play it on the air with your thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett or any of the things that go on any of our other shows at 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And you can go to Linktree/Capes and Lunatics. That's linktr.ee/Capes and Lunatics to connect to all of our merch, our Patreon account, where we have topless movie reviews and all sorts of other extra content for those who wish to pay for it. And coming up soon, a round robin, if you will, of discussion on the worst superhero film ever made. Will it be fan-tastic? Will it be Steel? Will it be Puma Man? They're all in the running.
I would rather watch all of those than Batman versus Superman.
Ooh. Strong words from you, my friend. Strong words. You may have to come in and do a little test spot on us. But yes, that's linktr.ee. The left to upper right /Capes and Lunatics for that. And then if anyone has anything to tell you specifically about Mozz, just want to talk to you, nobody else, in private, how can they find you?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzoor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzoor. That's MANZOR.
Very good. And of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email where their mothers and fathers once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And of course, follow me on Twitter as I live tweet things when I feel like it and there's something new on, which happens occasionally in this world of streaming. There is still some newly broadcast stuff at Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIEESSER. Look for the two E's right there in the middle. For what?
For quality. Bing.
Thank you, Mozz. All right, me hearties, you sailed the 7 seas, the dune seas of Tatooine, and come back out the other end of the Sarlacc. And we wish you come back again next week as we once again sail full stream ahead. Arr.
All right.
I want to come out the wrong end of a Sarlacc.
Digest it.
Yeah.
I don't think it has another end.
That's an interesting question. Do Sarlaccs have another end, or do they just use all the resources?
Didn't it say it takes them 1,000 years to absorb something that they eat?
Yeah.
So we might have to wait another 1,000 years for it to poop it out. What would it even look like by then? Or does it actually absorb everything? It doesn't need to poop
breaks
anything
everything down and just, uses what it's got, man.
No poop. Wow.
No poop. It's the plant that doesn't poop.
Wow.
Okay. Good to know. Or maybe it excretes water, and that's what actually powers, puts all the moisture in the Tatooine soil, and that's why you have moisture farms. I don't know.
Oh, like the sandworms in Dune again.
Exactly. Well, it was highly influenced.
Heavily inspired, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Lucas, he liked good science fiction. He said, "Oh, I can use that."
Yeah. And it a beautiful expression of the material from which it was inspired. So it was worthwhile to do it. You know, it wasn't like
Mhm.
a cheap knockoff kind of thing. It was an homage in a way, and
Yeah.
it stands up on its own well enough that it deserves to exist. You know.
And to be fair, I will guarantee you Herbert and Asimov and Heinlein, they were all influenced by Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers too.
Indeed.
So, you know, it all goes full circle.
Mm.
We all grow up with something. Jules
Mm.
Verne and H.G. Wells. That's what makes it great. All right.
Indeed.
We're still recording. So
Yeah. Let's put that.